You are 23 years old and stacking boxes behind a grocery store in Phoenix when your younger brother calls crying. Your mother has been detained by ICE during a traffic stop outside Tucson. She came from Mexico 15 years ago after gangs killed your uncle for refusing to pay extortion money. She cleaned hotel rooms, worked factory shifts, and raised you and your brother alone. One paperwork mistake during a visa renewal changed everything. You leave work immediately. By midnight, you are sitting across from a public defender who barely looks at you while explaining how the system works. She'll probably be deported, the lawyer says, unless somebody inside slows it down. Inside. That word stays in your head. You spend 3 weeks trying everything. Phone calls, churches, community groups, supervisors, nobody cares. Your mother disappears into a detention center outside Eloy. Every person you meet tells you the same thing in different ways. The machine keeps moving. Then a man named Gutierrez approaches you outside the facility parking lot. Cheap sunglasses, government badge hanging from his belt. "You her son?" he asks. You nod. He tells you he can help. Maybe delay paperwork. Maybe lose a file for a few months. But favors cost money. You empty your savings account, $4,000. He takes it without shame. Your mother still gets deported 2 weeks later. You confront him in the parking lot after the transfer bus leaves. You scream at him. He barely reacts. "You think this place runs on rules?" he says quietly. "Everybody eats." Then he walks away. You hate him for years. Then you become him. It starts because you need stable money. Your brother is still in school. Your mother is back in Honduras living with relatives. Your father disappeared years ago. You apply everywhere. Construction, warehouses, security. An ICE recruitment booth catches your attention at a job fair. Federal benefits, pension, salary, advancement. You almost laugh when the recruiter shakes your hand. But anger turns into curiosity. Curiosity turns into calculation. You pass the physical exam, then the background checks, then training. At first you tell yourself you are different. You will help people, you will protect families, you will stop cruel agents from abusing power. The lie survives about 8 months. Your first field operation happens before sunrise. Apartment complex 6 targets. You knock on the wrong door because dispatch gave outdated information. A terrified father opens while holding a toddler. Your supervisor tells you to push inside anyway. "You got nervous?" he asks when you hesitate. You step in. The little girl starts crying immediately. Nobody there is illegal. Wrong apartment. Wrong family. Your supervisor laughs about it in the van afterward while eating gas station peanuts. "Free lesson," he says. "People without power don't matter." You hate him too. Then over time, checks start hitting your bank account. Then promotions become possible. Then you realize complaints disappear if supervisors like you. You stop asking questions. 3 years later, you wear expensive watches and carry 2 phones. One government issued, one for business. It starts small. A nightclub owner pays you to inspect competitors during holiday weekends. You arrange raids timed perfectly to shut down rival businesses. Nobody can prove corruption because undocumented workers actually are present. The owner gives you cash in envelopes. 5,000, 10,000, 15,000. You tell yourself corporations manipulate the government every day. This is no different. Then smugglers contact you. That is the real turning point. A woman named Lucia sets up the meeting through a cousin of another agent. Desert motel outside Tucson. No cameras, no names. She speaks calmly while showing you maps. "One checkpoint," she says. "One patrol shift, one gap." You realize she already knows your schedule. You should arrest her immediately. Instead, you ask how much. $50,000 for one safe crossing. You cannot stop thinking about the number. 50,000 is more money than your mother made in 3 years cleaning hotel rooms. You agree. That night, you redirect 2 patrol units toward a fake sensor alert near Nogales. 30 people cross through another route untouched. You tell yourself they are families, workers, desperate people. Then you learn the second group carried fentanyl. 3 overdose deaths link back to that shipment. You see the news report while eating breakfast. You keep chewing. That scares you more than the deaths themselves. The guilt fades faster every time afterward. Within 2 years, you become one of the most useful corrupt agents in Arizona. Cartels prefer you because you are careful. Politicians prefer you because your arrest numbers stay high. Supervisors prefer you because you generate statistics. You master balance. For every smuggling route you protect, you raid another aggressively. Cameras follow your operations. Local news calls you relentless. You become the face of enforcement. Behind closed doors, you are auctioning human movement. A coyote pays $20,000 for advance warning about highway checkpoints. A factory owner pays monthly protection money so you ignore undocumented workers during inspections. You detain migrants, then pressure relatives for bribes to accelerate release paperwork. Everybody eats, just like Gutierrez said. You finally understand him completely. The system does not corrupt you all at once. It trains you to measure people financially. One person is paperwork, another is leverage, another is publicity, another is profit. You stop seeing families, you see transactions. By 32, you supervise operations across multiple counties. Younger agents admire you. They ask how you climbed so fast. You tell them confidence matters. You never mention blackmail. You keep files on everyone. Agent Morales cheats on his wife with a local reporter. You have hotel photos. Agent Bishop gambles heavily in tribal casinos. You know his debts. A deputy working joint operations buys cocaine from an informant. You have the body cam footage. Nobody touches you because you can destroy careers instantly. You become untouchable. Then politics changes everything. A new administration arrives, promising the largest deportation campaign in American history. Budgets explode. Pressure intensifies. Daily quotas rise. Suddenly, corruption becomes easier because chaos protects it. Thousands detained weekly. Temporary facilities overflow. Oversight collapses under volume. You build an entire network inside the disorder. Agents loyal to you receive profitable assignments. Transport contracts go to companies giving kickbacks. Informants get arrested or protected depending on who pays. You even manipulate gang classifications. A teenager from Guatemala gets labeled cartel affiliated because his cousin refuses to pay you. The designation sends him into maximum detention. Months later, he kills himself inside the facility. You read the report in silence. For a moment, your hands shake. Then your assistant calls about another operation. Life moves on immediately. That is how corruption survives. There is always another crisis before guilt can settle. You buy a house in Scottsdale under your cousin's name, then another property in Nevada, then crypto accounts, offshore transfers. You become obsessed with protection. Every conversation feels dangerous. Every phone vibration raises your pulse. You sleep with a pistol beside the bed. You stop trusting everybody, including yourself. But power is addictive. You love walking into rooms where sheriffs, businessmen, and smugglers all lower their voices around you. You control fear itself. One winter morning, a senator tours your detention facility. Cameras everywhere, staff nervous. You guide him through clean hallways prepared specifically for the visit, fresh paint, organized bunks, smiling staff. The senator praises your leadership publicly. An hour later, you authorize pepper spray against detainees protesting spoiled food. One woman collapses during the chaos. Asthma attack. Medical response arrives late because guards were laughing outside. She dies before sunset. You falsify timelines personally. That night, you drink alone in your kitchen, staring at your reflection in the microwave door. You try remembering the grocery store worker you used to be. You cannot. Years pass. Your operation expands into Texas and California. You coordinate with private prison contractors. You help funnel detainees toward facilities paying higher occupancy incentives. Human bodies become inventory numbers. A contractor once tells you jokingly, every migrant is basically a subscription plan. You laugh harder than everyone else. Then the FBI starts sniffing around. Not openly. Quietly. Subpoenas, financial audits, questions about procurement contracts. One agent disappears from work after an interview with Internal Affairs. Another suddenly retires. Panic spreads beneath the surface. You react immediately. Hard drives vanish. Phone records get wiped. A witness involved in transportation contracts gets arrested during a traffic stop carrying heroin planted by one of your deputies. You are no longer protecting yourself from investigation. You are actively hunting threats. That realization changes you again. Corrupt people always cross a final line eventually, the line where survival matters more than morality. You cross it during a rainstorm outside Yuma. A young agent named Keller confronts you after an operation. 26 years old. Former Marine. Too honest for this world. He knows buses are transporting detainees who were never officially processed. He knows money is disappearing. He knows names are being erased from systems temporarily. I'm reporting this, he says. You study him carefully. He reminds you of yourself before the rot spread. For 1 second, you consider confessing everything. Then you think about prison, your properties, your money, your power. You tell him to get into your SUV so you can talk privately. You drive toward an isolated service road near the border wall, mud everywhere from the storm. Keller keeps talking the whole time, angry, disappointed. You're supposed to protect this country, he says. You stop the vehicle. Silence. Rain hitting the windshield. Then you pull your pistol. The look on his face stays with you forever. Not fear at first. Confusion. Like his brain cannot process betrayal that deep. You tell him reaching for his weapon was a mistake. That becomes the official report afterward. Internal review clears you within 9 days. Self-defense. Tragic incident. Case closed. You receive condolences from supervisors. At Keller's funeral, his mother hugs you while crying. You almost vomit. After that, something inside you fully dies. Murder simplifies things psychologically. Once you justify that level of evil, everything else becomes administration. You become colder, more efficient. You stop pretending there are lines you will not cross. Your network reaches peak power during the election riots in several border cities. Protests overwhelm local governments. National Guard deployments create confusion everywhere. Perfect conditions. Shipments move constantly under cover of emergency logistics, weapons, drugs, people. You profit from all of it. At one point, your organization clears nearly $2 million in 3 months. You begin thinking beyond corruption. You begin thinking about control. You manipulate local media using leaked arrest footage. You destroy activists by feeding rumors to online groups. You coordinate with businessmen funding anti-immigration campaigns while secretly employing undocumented labor themselves. The hypocrisy stops shocking you. America becomes a machine powered equally by outrage and profit. You simply learn how to monetize both sides. Then your brother calls. You have not spoken properly in almost a year. He teaches high school history now in New Mexico. Quiet life. Honest life. I saw your name online, he says carefully. An investigative journalist published a story connecting missing detainees to internal ICE corruption. Anonymous sources mention you repeatedly. You deny everything automatically. Your brother stays silent for several seconds. Then he asks the question you feared most. Would Mom recognize you now? You hang up immediately. But the question follows you everywhere afterward. Would she? The woman deported by a cruel system raised a son who became one of its worst predators. You try drowning the thought with work. It fails. The investigations intensify. Congressional hearings begin. News helicopters circle detention centers. Protesters gather outside federal buildings. Several associates flip quickly. Money trails emerge. Encrypted messages get recovered. One cartel intermediary disappears after cooperating. Another survives long enough to testify. Your lawyers tell you to prepare for indictment. You consider fleeing. You have safe contacts in Mexico, offshore money, fake documents. But escape means surrendering the empire you built. You cannot accept that yet. So you gamble everything on one final operation. A massive raid across 3 states. hundreds detained, cameras embedded with tactical teams, political leaders demanding results before elections. You volunteer to lead it personally. If successful, maybe you regain leverage. Maybe allies protect you. Maybe chaos buries the investigations again. Deep down, you know none of that is true. But corrupt systems train people to believe power can solve consequences forever. The operation starts before dawn. Convoys moving simultaneously through neighborhoods packed with terrified families. Flashbangs, drones, tactical gear. You kick in doors while reporters capture footage from safe distances. An old man suffers a heart attack during processing. A teenager runs and gets tackled so violently his shoulder breaks. Children scream while parents disappear into transport vans. You keep moving, target after target, arrest after arrest. Then your radio explodes with panic. Shots fired. One of your teams entered the wrong house again. Homeowner armed himself, thinking intruders were robbing him. 2 agents dead. Homeowner dead. Wife wounded. Media catches everything live before containment begins. The country erupts instantly. By nightfall, your name trends nationally. Not as a hero, as a symbol. Protests spread outside ICE facilities nationwide. Politicians abandon you publicly. Allies stop answering calls. The machine that protected you senses weakness and begins consuming you instead. Federal agents arrive at your office with warrants 3 days later. You destroy 2 phones before they enter. Does not matter. They already have enough. Money laundering, racketeering, civil rights violations, obstruction, homicide. Keller's case reopened. You sit in an interrogation room for 11 hours while investigators spread photographs across the table. Dead migrants, bank transfers, encrypted chats, children inside cages, bodies in desert crossings linked to your protected routes. Your entire career reduced to evidence folders. One investigator asks why you did it. You almost answer honestly. Because power felt better than helplessness. Because money erased humiliation. Because once the system rewarded cruelty, cruelty became rational. Because every institution around you quietly accepted corruption as long as statistics looked good. But you stay silent. Weeks later, you are transferred into federal custody wearing chains around your wrists and waist. Reporters scream questions as marshals escort you inside court buildings. Some people call you evil. Others call you a scapegoat. Online groups argue endlessly about whether you were uniquely monstrous or simply honest about how power works behind closed doors. You watch clips of commentators discussing your life like entertainment. Nobody truly understands it. Not even you. From your cell, you replay moments repeatedly. The first bribe. The first lie. The first family destroyed for convenience. You realize corruption never arrived dramatically. It entered through tiny compromises disguised as practicality. One shortcut, one rationalization, one payment, then another, and another. Years later, you are no longer steering your own morality. You are protecting an identity built from accumulated sins. Your lawyers still think they can save you partially. Too many officials benefited from your silence. Too many agencies fear exposure. Deals get discussed quietly, reduced sentences, protected testimony, names traded for years. The machine still wants transactions, even now, especially now. One evening, a guard hands you legal paperwork and whispers that a congressional committee wants closed-door testimony, immunity possibilities, limited protections. You understand immediately. They do not want justice. They want controlled damage. You sit alone afterwards, staring at concrete walls while remembering your mother behind detention glass years ago. You finally understand the full cycle. The system that hurt your family did not create a victim or a hero. It created another predator. And somewhere tonight, another angry young man is probably standing outside another detention center, believing he can change things from the inside. Maybe he even can. Or maybe the machine is already waiting for him too.